And with all of this, let's make a coaster. Patchwork is ideal to make the most out of little pieces, little scraps that are not as little to put in the cushion filling yet. So stay with me, because this quilt as you go method is ideal to do everything at once. You're going to need all the little scraps you have around that you love and you can get rid of, and then you need some wadding, some bathing, something to put in between layers. I'm going to use this bit of felt I have left that I think is going to work just fine. And then you need a piece of fabric to go on the back. And this one needs to be the whole measurement of what you're going to sew. In my case, a circle of 10 centimeters. This patchwork method is really fast because you're doing everything at once. You're sewing your patchwork, your wadding and your lining, your back fabric all at once. So it's really fast, it's really easy to do, and because the edges aren't hemmed, you need a bit of bias tape, of course. I'm going to start by placing my back panel, wadding, and start sewing the first piece and then right sides together till I'll secure the last one, so I can then cut it to the required shape and finish it with bias tape. So I'm going to start by placing my back fabric and on top my wadding, felt, whatever you have by hand. And then on top of that, the first piece that is going to be my top, my patchwork. So the interesting thing about this is that you don't have to create your patchwork first, you do it all at once. And now I'm going to place the next piece of fabric on top of it, right sides together. That's it. So you just need an amount of fabric, you just cut what you need and you place it on top. Be careful if you have a pattern you want to do on one direction, so you don't place it on the other. And that's it. Now we sew again. Of course, you have to press it to make it nice, and I remember when I did this the first time, it was to do some quilts for the whole family. I made 5 for all of our grandmas and my mom, and it was so fun. I never thought the machine was going to survive that, but it did. And they really appreciated it, and they look really nice. It's ideal to learn, and it's ideal to, even if you want to make a bit of money and you want to sell them, they look really nice and really professional. So now, after pressing, the same with your next fabric. And again, right sides together on top of the one you just did before, and finish. And this is how the back is looking. And then the last one I'm going to make, you can have your strips of fabric already cut. And the only thing about this is that you do need to press, to iron in between your seams, every seam, so your piece of fabric is really flat on your surface. That way it looks much nicer. But because the iron doesn't just get cold as easy, you can do it from one to the next, and it'll stay warm even though you unplug it. So the next one. And now we're going to secure to make a little seam on this one as well, so it doesn't move. And with this finished, we can now cut it. When you're doing something bigger, maybe a cushion or maybe a proper cover for your bed, you'll need to do it with the longer strips, with the measurement you wanted it to be. But because we're doing something small, it's much easier to just sew these scraps without needing to cut the right measurement. And then you can just cut on top of it. I'm going to cut like half a centimeter around it, like a bit bigger, because I am going to use the bias tape, so that way I don't lose that much coaster. And now this can be your little scrap bin. For the bias tape, I'm going to see how much I need so I can join it together. And I'm going to sew it together with a diagonal seam by opening it and then putting it perpendicular to each other so the seam doesn't look bulky. And I'm going to sew it on this first line of the bias tape. And with the bias tape sewn on the back, I'm going to now fold it so I can sew it on the front. And this is my little coaster. It's a really easy project. You can do it in any shape you like almost, and with any little pieces you have around. But the interesting bit is the quilt as you go method. It's really fast, so you can do anything you like really easy. And it means that any quilt doesn't have the hassle of all the patchwork making first and all the wadding and then top stitching everything. You just do it as you go, which is really appealing. So let me know down in the comments what you thought, if you knew about this method, and if you like this kind of little sewing. It's ideal to give as presents, to sell, and to practice if you're a beginner. So I leave you here a link to all these little projects I've made so you can have a look, and don't forget to subscribe.